that you'll be joining us for today's webinar. We've designed the graduate school orientation. It's truly designed by our graduate students, for our graduate students, and so in today's webinar, we hope to provide information to you before you arrive to campus. And if you're online students that are joining us too, we'll be talking both to our on-campus and online students. My name is Stephanie Wilson. I am the graduate school recruiter, and super excited that you're joining us this evening. The graduate students at Ball State are a vital part of our academic community. So it's important that during this webinar that you don't wait till the end to ask your questions, that you provide them throughout the webinar. Whitney Holmes is a graduate student who is in Charlotte, North Carolina today, but she's actually managing our chat. So make sure that you ask her any questions throughout the webinar. The resources, though, that we talked about, we put as links to the right of the screen for you. So after the webinar is over, you can go back to this and view and utilize those links. There's a few things that I'd like to tell you about events that are focused for our graduate students that are incoming for the fall. International students, I want you to pay special attention that you're required to attend orientation the week before classes start. So remember to mark that on your calendars and be in touch with the Rinker Center about your orientation. Also, we want you to mark your calendars for the Thursday before classes start for our on-campus graduate school orientation. And we've spent about probably the last 7 years really developing and tweaking that orientation based upon student feedback. So during that orientation, we will offer a time for you to network with fellow graduate students and our faculty members. We'll give you resources to enhance your graduate study. We will help you with career building and skill workshops. And for those new to Ball State, we'll offer a tour of campus. So you won't want to miss this informative day. So mark your calendars for the Thursday before classes start. Also, we also want to point out that as a graduate student, one of the most important relationships that you'll have on campus or online will be with your advisor or your program director. They all have different titles. But I want to encourage you to connect with them prior to starting classes or arriving on campus to determine your class schedule, your course registration, graduate assistantship opportunities if you're studying on campus. That relationship with your advisor is so important, and that starts prior to classes starting. So make sure that you touch base with them and start that relationship. Most academic departments do provide a departmental orientation, and so you'll want to check in with that advisor to see when that orientation is held and what time you need to be there and how long. So those are some of the things we want you to think about as far as events. We also have our GA orientation that's next week. So if you already have a graduate assistantship, that's a time for us to kind of make sure that you have all of the tools you need to be successful. Today's orientation, we really will focus on what it takes to be successful in graduate school, things to do in Muncie. We'll talk about the financial aid process, parking on campus, really talking to you about embracing your role as a graduate student and how to be successful. So there are many resources that we'll share throughout the webinar, but don't forget to ask your questions, because a lot of times what we found is people wait till the end, and we don't want you to do that, and we'll try to address those throughout the webinar. So make sure that you're introducing yourselves and asking your questions. So now we'll turn the program over to two current graduate students, and they will introduce themselves, and then we'll talk about tips to be successful in graduate students. So we'll start with Sarah.
Hi, my name is Sarah Jansen. I'm a second-year graduate student in the Emerging Media Design and Development program, which is a brand new program on campus that started just this past semester, or this past year. I am also a graduate assistant in Stephanie's office working on the recruiting team.
Hello, my name is Yosef Taklawal from Ethiopia. I'm going to be a second-year master's student next fall. I'm studying Center for Information and Communication Sciences. I did my undergrad at Taylor University, 30 minutes from Muncie.
Thank you. I think that you'll find that both of them will give you some valuable resources to be successful graduate students. And one of the first tips that we're going to kind of talk about, and it comes from questions from you. So we ask you questions when you register for this orientation. So we really want to talk about what's the difference between the undergrad experience and graduate school. So Sarah, I know you you worked for 4 or 5 years before coming to grad school. So what was that transition like for you?
The transition to go back to school was hard just because at that time I was an adult with adult bills. So coming back to school and being on a graduate student budget has been a bit of a challenge. But I'm happy to say that I will be, because of the graduate assistantship that was offered and some tight budgeting, that I will graduate without any additional loans from my undergraduate degree. So that's a really big thing.
Yeah,
for me.
that's really important to Ball State, that we encourage our students to think about ways to be very fiscally responsible, and so that's wonderful to hear. So what about the study habits? Like, how did you, after being a professional and working full-time and now coming back with a lot of the responsibilities of being a student, how did you transition to that?
Well, graduate school is definitely on another level of difficulty as far as the academic reading and the academic writing that you'll be doing. It's just a higher level than what you have in undergraduate studies. So that was definitely an adjustment, I think, for most students. And you just kind of have to find your groove, and everyone goes through that adjustment period, but kind of knowing that up front helps a little bit. And also, I think one of the biggest things about graduate school is that there is no longer that opportunity for you to, well, I suppose there is, but you can't cram the night before for a big test. Like this is information that you are truly going to be using in your professional life, or when you go on, if you continue and get your PhD. So this is stuff that you're looking at every day, and you're really preparing for tests, and you're working really hard on group projects, because after this, these are the people that you could be working with. These are your future colleagues that you are in school with now, and so it's really important to keep that in mind and to treat it a little bit more professionally than undergraduate. Undergraduate is still very much school, whereas graduate study is, it's definitely, you would be better served if you treated it more like a job, I think.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good advice. So if we can talk briefly, one of the things that I have heard students talk about, so at the graduate level, are you taking classes that you may not be as passionate about? Like, I remember as an undergrad, I had to confess that theater was not one of my favorite classes to take, right? So at the graduate level, aren't you surrounded by faculty who are super geeked about their topic areas, and you're surrounded by students who are just as equally geeked, and so is there a difference in that?
Most definitely. There's obviously like a more focus in what you're doing at the graduate level, and you still have the opportunity to take some electives. I know in Yosef's program, you get to choose some of your classes. My program is more set. There's 3 classes that you take every semester if you're a full-time student, but they're very specific, very focused in the area that you're studying. And when you were talking about people geeking out, I'm just thinking of all the nerds in my program and how much in common that we have, and how much we get excited about human-computer interaction and things like that.
And that's the way grad school should be. So Yosef, so you have a different experience than what Sarah's probably, because you went right from, well, you laid off a year, but you went right into your, so how have you found, especially as an international student, so this isn't your native language, right? How have you found undergrad and grad school different?
Personally, I would say the big difference is time management. I did my undergrad at Taylor University, where I used to take 16 credits hour every semester, and I thought it was a lot. And when I was accepted at Ball State, my advisor told me, since I'm going to be a graduate assistant, I should be looking into taking 9 credit hour. And I thought, oh, I'm going to have lots of personal time. I'm not going to take lots of classes and everything. But that happened for the first few weeks, and when we start having lots of exams, lots of deadlines in the same week, I realized that that's not the same. The amount of work that you put into after classes and everything, it's very hard compared to undergrad. And obviously, administrative and academic advisors, they will play a big part in helping you navigate your degree map, to help you figure out the classes and everything, but you don't expect them to be much of a hand holder, the advisors.
Yeah, that's very true.
That's where the similarity ends. They expect you to be mature, self-motivated, self-starter to navigate the ins and outs of the coursework and schedule and everything. So it's not to say that they're not going to help you. Ball State is very fortunate enough to have lots of good professors and resources to help you to finish your degree program, but you still have to play a big role in
Right.
achieving your goal. So
I think that's a good point that you mentioned. So, we talk about at the grad school level, we really want you to own the experience, right? That it's your experience, you need to be the driver, and you need to really own it. And self-direction and being a self-motivated person, I think grad school naturally attracts those types of folks to our programs. But how have you? What's one suggestion to be self-motivated or self-directed grad school? What's some of the recommendations that you can offer incoming graduate students as they're preparing? For they have a few months before they start, but how can we help them be self-motivated or self-directed? Sarah, do you want to?
Yeah, I can start. So one of the biggest things that I struggle with, I was a journalist before I came back to graduate school. And so I'm very, I like to say deadline driven, but I'm a procrastinator just by nature. And so that's been something that I've struggled with in graduate school. You can't procrastinate or else you will pay for it in very, very late nights or just no nights at all. You're up all night when you do that. So I think remembering that what you do today prepares you and helps you tomorrow. So even just taking that extra step to accomplish this one task, if that will put you in a better position tomorrow, then that's something really important to do. And also prioritizing, because there will always be things that you can do and work that you can work on, because it's always there. But knowing what's important, what needs to be done today, and what maybe you could put off or do a small piece today
Right.
and pick back up tomorrow or next week. That's also something that I found really helpful.
Yeah, good advice. Yeah, really good advice. So, as you're really thinking about transitioning to grad school in the fall, especially for our online students, I think it's important, the time management aspect is that it's all about balance. And so, yes, going to grad school can be one of the many jobs that you have. You both have assistantships, so have to juggle coursework with a part-time job. So I think being strategic about that, also thinking about when you're going to build social time and wellness and exercise. So now is a great time to really start thinking about and scheduling that, right? Joseph, how do you want to talk to them about being self-directed? And
Well, like Sarah said, every student, they need to have a goal. I would say every student, they need to have a short-term and long-term goal. And actually, I want to put it this way. You need to see the opportunity cost of being a graduate student. When you graduate from undergrad, either you're going to have a job, or if you're not lucky, you're going to live in your grandma's basement for a few months. It's a reality. And or the other option is go to grad school. So by being in the graduate school, you're not making money. So that's the opportunity cost. So if you're already here, you're sacrificing
right?
getting like 60K or as much, whatever the number is. So if you're not getting like money, or if you're not supporting your family, that means you're here for 2 years or a year or 3 years. So why don't you put the time and effort to succeed, because it's going to affect you for the rest of your life. So I would say this is the short-term and long-term goal that you need to have, like realizing that you're sacrificing a lot to be here. So use it like, use all the opportunity that you have.
And I can tell you, just working with our faculty members, that I think we get chronically busy in grad school, and I think faculty members always hate to hear when you ask a graduate student how they're doing, like, oh, I'm busy. Well, we all are, right? And so I think faculty members respect us when we learn to manage our time and our responsibilities and respect theirs, right? Turn things in. I mean, this is not a time where you're turning in assignments late or those types of things. So it's all about time management. Because we've kind of hit that message pretty strong. Let's talk about mentoring, right? So at the graduate school, we really try to focus on is the importance of mentoring, both finding one and being one. If you come to our on-campus orientation, we really want you to develop relationships. We'll have a mixer that will be in the evening, and we'll have our current students there that you might be able to make some relationships. But we also hope that you'll be thinking about ways that you can mentor in your different situations. So Sarah, we'll start with you. Finding a mentor sometimes can be difficult, right? Yes. And being in grad school lends itself to the time to really find some mentors. And so tell me what you think about that whole mentoring relationship with maybe a grad advisor.
Yeah, I don't think I realized the importance of having a mentor until this graduate school decision really came about, which was through my mentor, who is also my program advisor. And throughout the process of applying for school and coming back, he has helped me tremendously and continues as my advisor and one of my program directors to mentor me and to be someone I can, who really holds my feet to the fire, I think, which is important for me to have. But also, I have found, after I got here, new mentors through my assistantship and also getting to know the other program director in my program, who is also an amazing person and a fantastic professor and just really someone that I look up to. Even above and beyond graduate school, like someone personally and professionally who I admire. But also, I think fellow graduate students, it's important to...
That community.
Yeah, to find those people who you admire and look up to. In my program, it's interdisciplinary, so we have students coming with all different types of skill sets, and there are students that I am with in my program who I am just in awe of some of the things that they're able to do. And so those are people who I look up to, who I ask advice from, and who are in it with me, like they're going through the program as well. And so having that perspective also helps.
And I'll just say this one thing to our online students, is that you might want to have a buddy or a mentor who's gone through a graduate program. Don't be afraid to find someone to kind of be able to bounce ideas off of, to say, should I be stressed? How do I manage that? I think having someone kind of in your court to talk about that. Joseph is an international student. Talk about the mentoring relationships, and I think early on when you were first taking classes and developing that relationship with Dr. Jones, right?
Yes. I would say graduate students, we might have little bit of how do I say it? We might know lots of stuff from like undergrads, but that's not to mean that we don't need help. There might be a time when we need comfort and advice about our thesis assignments or what to do, like our career or networking. So I personally think like we need to have mentors in lots of departments, like about your personal life, about academic and networking and everything. So both set actually have more than couple of
you have more than one, right?
Mentors. So actually, I remember that I was taking 621 class. It's like telecommunication networking, and the first exam I didn't do really well. So of course, Stephanie happened to be one of my mentors. So she asked me how I did on the test. I told her I struggled, and it wasn't the way how I expected. So she advised me to go and talk to the director of the program, which happened to be, since then he became my mentor, and I did really well for the rest of the semester. So And as an international student, we're facing lots of issues when we come to a new country. There's a language barrier, culture, and all these things will shape you, like how you're gonna challenge your culture shock. So even if I stay here for almost 6 years, I still struggle about how stuff in America. So and the GAs that I have, Sarah and Whitney, they help me a lot, like how to figure out stuff. So and every place I go here in the state, I try to find people, like good people around me to to ask stuff. So every time there's a Father's Day, Mother's Day, I call them. Just I become their family member. So it's very important to have good people.
A community.
Yeah, community.
Yeah.
So
Good point.
I think it's also important to note that these are people often, especially when you're talking to them about graduate school, who have been through that process because like my parents didn't go to graduate school.
Right.
I have an older brother who did, but for students who are
Good
first
point.
generation college students whose parents maybe didn't go to undergrad, going through graduate school
Good
is
point.
its own beast, and so to have people who understand what that process is like is really, really important because those are the people who understand
Yes.
your struggle.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, I was one of the first people in my family to get a master's and an undergrad degree, and you're right. You need somebody to come beside you. So our message, we hope you hear loud and clear, is don't be afraid to find someone and make sure that you have a community who's helping you through this time. Also, there's been some questions that we received on the chat that I just want to answer briefly because Whitney's done an exceptional job. But first of all, if you want to attend the graduate assistantship training that we're having on next Wednesday, you don't have to have an assistantship. We're not going to tell you exactly how to find one, but if you want to go through the assistantship training, we will allow you to do that. There was also a question about, seems like some of the internet has been difficult for everyone it's been breaking up a little bit, and we will be sending a recorded link out, and so you can watch this after the fact. So I think that was a question. Also, I saw that there was a question about that darn Ball State email, if you haven't received that yet or not. We will send information to you about how to go about doing that. You should have received it when you applied for Ball State. That should have been one of the first pieces of information that you would have received with the email address that you applied for Ball State. And we do use your Ball State account to maintain communication with you. So you really want to make sure that you have that. If not, you can email Yosef or I tomorrow and we can make sure that that is all taken care of for you. So we've talked a lot about time management and maintaining balance and those types of things. So I think that you've heard us all, and we'll talk a little bit more about this at orientation, but that time management piece will probably really come into play, I would say mid-October, if not the 1st of October. You will know what I'm talking about. There will also come a point in time your first semester into grad school where you will have a moment where you will be not sure whether you should be in grad school or not sure whether you have selected the right program or not sure you ever want to read about the subject matter that you're pursuing ever again in your entire life. I mean, that's going to happen, right? Aren't you going to have a moment like that? Did you both have kind of that moment the first semester where you're like, oh my goodness, I'm not supposed to be here?
Yeah, I had more than one moment, I think.
Yeah. So that's where I can guarantee it, that as long as I've been working in the grad school arena, which has been about 7-8 years working with thousands of graduate students, I can tell you that's going to happen to all of you. And so that's why we talk to you about, most importantly, is finding that mentor in that community that can, when that freak out moment happens, that you'll have support. So now that we will kind of move forward with some of the videos that we have, and we have some that we are anxious for you to watch. Our next video, if I can look really quickly, it will be about the resources that we have at the library. And the resources are incredible. So we'll turn it over to our library video, and then we'll come right back. Thank you.
Hi, Hi, my name is Lisa Jarrell, and I'm the Instructional Services Librarian for the University Libraries.
And I'm Brenda Yates-Habig. I'm an Information Services Librarian.
We're going to give you some information about library services that you'll want to know before you join us on campus in the fall. We hope this will help you get started using the libraries early and often. There are 3 libraries on campus. Bracken Library is our main library and houses most of our collections and personnel. During the academic year, it's open from 7 a.m. to 3 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, with slightly abbreviated hours on Friday and Saturday. The other libraries on campus are the Architecture Library, located in the Architecture Building, and the Science Health Science Library, located in Cooper Science Complex. These 2 libraries do have shorter hours and more focused collections, but they're open to anyone in any program. Check out the University Library's website for more information about hours. They do vary in the summer as well.
One link you'll want to find there is the link to our Ask a Librarian services. This is how you're going to get help if you get stuck along the way when doing your research. Whether you're in the libraries in person or not, this is the way to get librarian assistance. The first thing you will see should be our chat option. You can use that to ask questions of a librarian. The hours that chat is available is provided here. You can also text your question and we will respond to that as well. The email option provided has about a 24-hour turnaround. Several of us librarians check this account, so it may not be Lisa or I that responds, so just keep that in mind. And last but not least, those of you that are on campus can schedule an appointment to sit down with us, and we'll help you get through the resources and work with you. We really enjoy this.
We don't want any suffering in silence, so please get help when you need it. There are also a couple of other services you might be interested in. Students are allotted 500 black and white pages to print for free in the library each semester. You can check your print balance at any time by clicking on the Check Print Balance link. You can do this to see how close you are to your print limit and also print more than 500 pages, but those will cost you 5 cents each, and that's charged to your Bursars account. There's also a software locator link in the services column. Check that out to see what software the libraries have and where it's available.
Moving on to research. The first link you might want to note is to CardCat, our online catalog. You can see what materials the libraries have in the collections here. You can use this without a Ball State University username and password, so even if you don't have those yet, you can still explore what the libraries have to offer. Another link to pay attention to in the research column is the link for interlibrary loan. This service allows you to request articles and borrow books from other libraries. You can set up your account as soon as you receive your Ball State username and password. For those of you who are distance education students, remember to indicate that you are a distance education student in the notes field when you set up your account.
You might want to explore our databases too, and those are linked from the research column. You'll probably find some that you're familiar with from your undergraduate work, as well as some different databases that you might find useful. Browse the list by subject to see what's available in your area of study.
Another service that new graduate students are usually interested in is the Scholar Carrels in Bracken Library. These are locked rooms that you can use as quiet office space. Space is limited and these tend to go quickly, so apply now if you're interested for next year. Information about how to do that is on our website.
We also offer workshops and research instruction sessions for faculty and students, so watch your email for information about workshops for graduate students in the fall. They'll include sessions about writing literature reviews, getting started on your thesis or dissertation, and how to find funding sources for your work. If you're teaching a course, consider bringing your students to the library to learn about research.
When you join us on campus in the fall, you'll have a chance to meet us in person and hear more about these resources. You'll also visit us in some of your classes to learn about resources specific to your field. If you're here in the summer, please stop by and ask any questions or just say hi. Welcome to Ball State University.
We'll see you in the fall.
Thank you.
All right, so as you can see, we have tremendous resources at the Ball State Library, and I can tell you they're not just focused on our on-campus students. They are just as friendly and just as helpful and thorough for our online students. They have many ways for you to contact them, and so please reach out to them and utilize them as resources. So the next topic that we're going to talk about is one near and dear to my heart for our on-campus students, and we're going to show you a video that shows you what there really is to do in Muncie. So Muncie doesn't pretend to be a LA or a Chicago or it is just Muncie, and there are some resources, and so now we'll turn it over to the Muncie video.
You'll find that once you start graduate school, it will be important to find a balance between your work and, well, everything else. One of the best ways to do this is to get out and explore what downtown Muncie has to offer. If you are looking for ways to stay active and healthy, why not try the Cardinal Greenway, a 60-mile bike trail that winds through downtown, or the White River Greenway that follows that beautiful waterway through the city. You will also find designated bike lanes downtown to get you where you're going safely. If you like to grow your own food, Muncie has a handful of community gardens where you can cultivate your own plot. There are also several healthy eating options, including farm-to-table restaurants like Barn Brasserie, the downtown farm stand, an organic grocery store and eatery, and a weekly farmers market at Minnetrista. If you are looking for arts and culture, start every month at First Thursday, a regular event downtown that spotlights new exhibits at galleries and shops. First Thursday is also a great time to check out downtown dining and nightlife choices like Savage's Ale House, the Caffeinery, the Fickle Peach, the Silo, and Casa del Sol. If you are a fan of the theater, you'll want to check out Muncie Civic Theater, which has been presenting the best in community productions for more than 80 years in a beautiful historic building in the heart of downtown. You can also browse among the exhibits or catch an outdoor performance at Minnetrista. Take an art or music workshop at Cornerstone Center for the Arts, enjoy one of the many festivals at Kennon Commons, paint some pottery at the Artist Within, pick up some new vinyl at Dan's Downtown Records, or discover a new hobby at Toys Forever. Downtown Muncie also offers some great locally owned shops to find unique gifts. Refresh, Gordy Fine Art and Framing, and Jack's Camera Shop are just a few. Muncie is home to many hidden gems, and when you take the time to explore, you'll find great opportunities for getting involved in this thriving, energetic community. Be sure to follow the Ball State Graduate School Facebook page. We'll keep you in the loop on all the exciting things to do and see right here in Muncie.
All right, as you can see, there's plenty of things for graduate students to be successful and to enjoy Muncie. I want to ask Joseph to tell me what's your favorite aspect of the Muncie community? And
Graduate school can be very stressful, that's for sure. Lots of assignments and everything. So actually I figured this one really late. There is a 60-mile bike ride, the Greenway.
Greenway?
Which I did like a couple of times. It's very peaceful. Sometimes you get to see deer, animals, so it's very nice. And there are like lots of places like to play soccer, even on campus at Ball State. I know lots of international students, they love to play soccer and everything, so we get together every Saturday and sometimes on weekdays to play soccer. And so you can go to like downtown, or, there are like lots of, you may not realize it, but once you throw yourself out there and everything, you can see different activities and you can see families or community out of non-Ball State community. And even on campus, there are like lots of late nights. On Saturday we can go, and on Fridays there is a movie theater you can be part of. And so your weekend is not gonna be very like homework or assignments and everything. You can still have fun while you're doing schoolwork. So there are lots of things to figure out in Muncie. So.
Sarah, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I would like to say that one of the big pluses of living in Muncie, especially as a graduate student, is the low cost of living. I moved here from, I was living in Chicago before I came back to school, and I remember the first time that I went out to eat in Muncie, and I got my bill, and I think like for a drink and dinner, I paid less than $10 at the place that I was at, which blew my mind at the time. So that's definitely a big plus when you're in graduate school, living somewhere where the utilities and the rent and the groceries and even for a night out, dinner or drinks or whatever, it's affordable. So I would say that when you do pull yourself away from the studying and the homework, there are things to do, and they're not going to cost you a lot of money. So
yeah, that's an important important point. As far as cost of living, we're about to show you, the next video that we want to show you is about housing for on-campus students and the availability and affordability of housing at Ball State University. We also sent out, I believe we still have a little bit of time for our housing scholarship, and so we'll turn that over, that video, and let that get started showing, and then we can talk about the scholarship that goes with that after that. So enjoy this.
When looking for university housing, University Apartments is one of the best options for students. With 5 floor plans to choose from, we offer comfortable, affordable homes for single students and students with families. If you're an international student, make sure you apply well in advance. We want to make sure you have a great place to call home when you arrive on campus. You can apply online, and there's no fee to apply. Our apartment communities are located close to our campus, shopping, restaurants, entertainment, banks, and schools. We have close to 800 residents in our thriving and culturally diverse community, and graduate students make up roughly half that population. It's a great way to make new friends and meet others with similar interests. There are 2 university apartment complexes, Anthony and Scheidler. 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments and townhomes are available. The apartments are smoke-free. At University Apartments, rent includes electricity, heat, water, sewage, and trash removal. Telephone service is optional and available at a reduced rate. Cable and high-speed wired and wireless internet services are provided and free in both communities. Rent is easy to pay too. It's billed to the student on the Bursar or student account and is due at the first of each month. A $300 deposit is required when signing the contract or lease from each student residing in the apartment. UA offers a variety of services to the resident. On-site maintenance is available 24 hours a day, and students have access to laundry facilities at both communities. Central air conditioning is provided in Anthony units, while residents in Scheidler may provide 1 air conditioner per apartment. Installation is provided free of charge by our maintenance staff, and it does not increase your monthly bill. A computer lab, community room, and regularly scheduled social activities are held throughout the complex, and volleyball courts and spacious patios and outdoor courtyards are just some of the amenities. A free campus shuttle bus service and the Muncie, Indiana Transit System, or MIT service line, runs to both communities. Another benefit is the summer storage program. When a student renews their contract for the following academic year, students are able to put their apartment on storage. For only $25 per month, we'll stop the rent, and students can leave their items in the apartment, no moving required. Those that renew are not required to take summer classes to live in the apartments during the summer. Students who are eligible to live in Ball State University apartments include those that are married or have a partner, those with dependent children, those with 63 credit hours or junior status, and those who are 21 years of age or older. Contracts are given on a rolling basis until the apartment complexes are full. The sooner you apply, the better your chances are of getting your first choice preference. To live in the apartments, students must take a minimum 6 credit hours per semester for graduate students. Each graduate student renter must complete 12 credit hours in the 12-month period from August through July. Applicants must be admitted to the university, and all account holds must be clear before signing a contract. To apply, just visit our website or come over to see our showroom. There's no application fee. We do not assign roommates, but we have a roommate search to help you find one if you need one. If you wish to request a roommate, both students need to submit separate applications and must request each other through our system. To make sure you get your requested roommate, apply well in advance of the academic term for which you need housing. Same-gender roommates may share a 2-bedroom apartment. Feel free to ask us any questions you might have by stopping by, emailing, or calling our office. We also have Facebook and Twitter, and we can be found under BSU Apartments on either site.
So as Sarah talked about the affordability of Muncie, you can see that the apartments at Ball State are a very nice option. I know a lot of our graduate students have appreciated that the shuttle bus is very close and all the utilities are included. We also have a housing scholarship. All of that information is due July 1, but it's a $500 off an annual rental agreement. And so if you want more information, you can email me and we can get that information to you. So that's also a nice benefit. If you are a student affairs student, though, I do not believe that you are eligible for that housing scholarship. So we've had a lot of questions about assistantships, right? So how do I find them? What if I don't have them? We always receive those questions. And so our first answer, if you don't have an assistantship and you're looking for one, it's just like looking for a job. You have to be pushing the envelope a lot. You have to be talking with your graduate program advisor. They're usually your best advocate to help you find and know of opportunities within your department or outside your department. Also, fellow graduate students. Many times in their offices, they know about assistantships, so you want to check in with them. We post the ones that we know that are available on the Ball State Graduate School Facebook account. You can also look on the Career Services account, and so those most of them are posted. So don't give up, just keep looking. I've heard of many students who have started in the fall without an assistantship, but they've been around and they're able to find one in the spring. Now that isn't a guarantee, but those opportunities do exist. So don't give up. I've had to hire graduate assistants a week before classes start before. So sometimes people have to decline an assistantship. And so I would say be hungry and keep looking. So I know that's an important part of the questions that we've been receiving is assistantships. Also, we've had some questions about, do I get an assistantship within my department or outside my department? So, Yosef, I'm going to turn to you to answer that question. You have an assistantship outside of your academic department. Do you want to talk to that about how that assistantship that situation has occurred for you? And
fortunately, Ball State has more than 900 graduate assistants for the graduate students. So we have, you have 3 options to work as a research assistant, and then as administrative, and then what was the other one? Teaching. Yeah, as teaching. So me and Sarah, we work as administrative for the graduate school. So we get to go places and recruit students and speak in different classes. So you have many options. So especially like when you apply to jobs later on, most of companies, they're not going to ask you what you learn in classes and everything. They're going to ask you the experiences, the projects that you did outside of class sometimes. So it's very important that you have a graduate assistantship, and we can provide you. I believe we already sent you the links, but if you still have more questions, you can send us, and we can send you the link where to apply. You keep applying, and hopefully get one.
yeah, that's great. The graduate assistantship, many times our students tell us that the academic program opens the door of opportunity for them, but the experiences that they receive during their graduate assistantship are truly what seals the deal, so to speak, when they're seeking employment after their graduate program. So we've shared a lot of information with you. We're at 45 minutes into the program, and we have one more video to show you about parking on campus, and then we're going to kind of wrap things up and talk to you about how to build relationships and build connections on the Ball State campus for both our on-campus and online students. So now we'll turn it over to the parking video and give you some information about that important topic that you've all been asking about. So we apologize. We're having some technical difficulties with our parking video, so we apologize for that. We do want to tell you that you can pay for your parking pass online, so all of those services are available for you to get a parking pass online. And many of our graduate students actually have purchased evening parking passes, or some students just don't purchase a parking pass at all. They bike in, or I don't believe the two of you have parking passes. So there are ways to, if you can't afford that, to not have that expense. I do know that some of our graduate students choose to spend the money to be able to be in some of our parking garages and those kinds of things. So we'll send you a link if you do want to do that. I guess my best recommendation about parking on campus is that really talk with some of your fellow graduate students. So if you're in a program and you're the first year, the second years will adequately advise you how they went about doing that. You want to be careful because we do ticket, and they are expensive tickets. I've had a few in my lifetime, and so I would tell you to be careful with that. But I would, talk to your graduate program advisor and your current students to kind of see what's the path of least resistance for students in your programs. So as we are wrapping up this session, we've appreciated all of the questions and the feedback that you've all been giving us, and hopefully this has been a very strong resource for you. If we can just leave you with some important messages about building connections and resources for graduate students. Recently, we have launched a graduate student blog where we're telling your stories and offering resources for you to think about grad school, so we'll be sending those to you. Sarah is our editor for that blog, so you'll be hearing stories about current graduate students and tips for success, so we'll also follow up with a link to that. You want to check in. Our Facebook account is primarily focused for our incoming graduate students and our current graduate students to know what's going on campus. So those wonderful resources we share about the Muncie community and what to do, tips to be successful as graduate students. We work really hard at trying to put that on the Facebook page. So those are your connections. As you heard Joseph talk about, one of the things I hope you remember is don't be afraid to reach out to your faculty members. Don't assume that you should have all of the answers and that you shouldn't go to them for questions. If you have any questions at all and you're not for sure who to go to, I hope that you reach out to me as the grad school recruiter and we find the resources for you. If you're an online student, we hope that you'll come to our on-campus orientation, and our on-campus students, I hope that you'll join us on Thursday before classes start. As we wrap this up, I'm going to turn it over to Joseph and Sarah for them to give you some words of wisdom from current graduate students of how to be successful and advice, and then we'll let you enjoy your summer evening. So Joseph, do you want to start? What kind of advice do you want to, what's your last piece of advice to offer our students?
Yeah, as you know, we had only an hour today, but on August 18, 2016, it's on Thursday, we're going to have a full day orientation for all new students. So we have a wonderful keynote speaker. He created one of the most successful businesses in Muncie. So you're going to hear a lot of things about good life experience, how to be successful at Ball State in your graduate program. And for those of you who are graduate assistants, we have a wonderful webinar ready for you guys on Wednesday, 29th, next week. So I encourage you guys, or whoever, those of you who haven't applied yet, we will send you the link and you can join us on that day. And yeah, just be initiative and want to learn more stuff from your graduates. Stay here for 2 years or a year, or it could be more. So and then Ball State has wonderful resources and good professors to help you along the way. So don't be afraid, and everybody's here to help you. So, and I want to welcome you.
Great. Sarah, do you want to offer?
Yeah, we talked about a lot of things today. We're kind of in the point now where we're throwing a lot of information at you, and you may not remember it until you need it. So right now is a good time to start making those connections with your advisors, with faculty, with your fellow students, with us even. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And also just really take charge of your own experience in graduate school. This is an opportunity for you to really mold this experience into what you want it to be, and it will be, you are in charge of your graduate school experience. So start thinking now about how you want to mold that experience and what you want to get out of it, and it will serve you well when you start and you inevitably get overwhelmed by everything that you'll have on your plate. So prepare now, and it'll help you when you actually get to campus and start classes.
So thank you for all of your wonderful questions and your time. We hope if you want to join us for Thursday or next Wednesday's, GA orientation, that you'll do that, and you'll join us on Thursday, August 18th. And with that, we say enjoy your summer, and we'll talk to you in the fall. Thanks for your time. And we're just Muncie.